If you've ever done any reading about the Mongols, especially in older literature, you've probably seen them called Tatars or Tartars, which almost every group of people they encountered called them. How did this happen? The original Tatars were one of the most powerful and numerous nomadic tribes from eastern Mongolia who spoke a form of Mongolian. The word Tartar is found on inscriptions in the Orkhon Valley in the 730s, and within the next few centuries came to be used by the Chinese to refer to almost all of the steppe tribes. Around the Tang Lao period, a classification system developed that grouped the tribes into white Tatars, black Tatars, and raw or wild Tatars, depending on how far from China they lived and how primitive the Chinese considered them. Song dynasty officials in the 1220s still used this system, describing Chinggis Khan as a black Tatar. It is not clear how the name Tatar spread west. In 1202, Chinggis Khan destroyed the Tatars as a political entity, incorporating the remainder into his people. One possible method of transmission is from the Karaktai Khanate, the empire set up by Khitans who fled west from the Jurchen Qin dynasty in the 12th century. These Khitans may have brought the classification system along and diffused it among their Islamic contacts, while it could have been Muslim merchants traveling through the Karaktai and North China who learned the name. It has been demonstrated by historian Stephen Pao that Georgians and Russians learned about the Mongols through Turkic tribes, and they may have passed on calling them Tartars through that. It did not take long, though, for Europeans to associate Tatars with the similar-sounding Tartars, the ancient Greek underworld, and thus Tartar, with an extra R, became common branding. Europeans who traveled among the Mongols noted the difference between Mongol and Tartar. John of Plano Carpini, an envoy to Guyuk Khan in the 1240s, called his report Historia Mongolorum Cusnos Tataros Appelliamus, the history of the Mongols, whom we call Tartars. Plano Carpini found that the Mongols didn't like to be called Tartars, being that was a people they had conquered, but nonetheless Tartar was already the common way for Europeans to describe the Mongols, both during the 13th century and later. Thus, Mongol rule in Russia is commonly known as the Tartar yoke. In the Golden Horde, the Mongols mixed continuously with the more numerous Turkic tribes they ruled over, adopting Islam and even replacing Mongol with Turkic on their coins before 1300. These increasingly Turkicized Mongols, after the breakdown of the Golden Horde into the Khanates of Kazan, Crimea, Astrakhan, and others, came to refer to themselves as Tartars, which they still do today. So, is Tartar the same as Mongol? Depends on the context. Before 1200, Tartar refers explicitly to the Tartar tribe of eastern Mongolia, destroyed by Chinggis Khan in 1202. These Tartars are almost never called Tartars. During the 13th century, Mongols were called Tartars by their contemporaries, but it is uncommon in modern literature to call them such. As the Mongols in the western side of the empire became more Turkic than Mongol, they tend to be called Turco-Mongols and later Tatars, especially once that was how they identified themselves, sometime in the 15th or 16th centuries, and this refers to the ethnic group still around today. While it was common in older work to call those who remained in Mongolia Tartars, this is not done at all in modern writing. Tartar refers explicitly to those of Mongolian and Turkic descent who speak Turkic languages and practice Islam, not those who continue to speak Mongolian and live in Mongolia. As well, it is very uncommon to refer to Turco-Mongols outside of Russia as Tartars. Timur, for example, is almost never called a Tartar in scholarship.